Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Happy Saturday. 3 days into spring practice. The pads are on. They are popping. We're going to get into who was getting it in today. Who started. Is Will Howard locked in as the starting quarterback? Sure looks that way. We're going to take your questions as well. This will be a Scoop Ultra episode. If you have an Ultra membership right now, you can ask a question just as if it is a super chat. So get those fired up. Our mods, Kim and Devin, will be in here to help us along with that. I'll be scanning through the chat to find those. So put a couple of asterisks next to them when you ask the questions, and I will get to those. I'm flying solo tonight. So let's have a good night. We're going to break down a bit of tape, take your questions, have some fun, talk about what has gone down in the first 3 spring practices, who's making a move, and why this could be the best Ohio State team that we've ever had. So with that being said, as always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys so very much for being on here each and every night. Fantastic ride we're on right now. Took a little break last night. We had a bunch of stuff going on between Nevada and I. I'm flying solo tonight, but again, we appreciate all that you guys do. Again, if you guys enjoy this, please leave us a like, click subscribe, click that little alert bell. Also, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you, even if you do not listen to the audio version, subscribing to it is a huge help for our channel. Give us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment. Again, we appreciate you guys so very much for all that you guys do for growing this page. Shout out where you guys are watching from. I want to hear it. I want to hear my Southern Ohio boys. What parts of Southern Ohio are you watching from? Where are my guys at? And shout out who you guys are watching with, your family, sons, daughters, spouses. I always love seeing who is watching with who. It's always an absolute blast. So again, I appreciate all that you guys do to grow this channel, and let's have an absolutely epic night tonight. Let's start off a little bit by talking about what has gone down in the first 3 spring practices. They are in shoulder pads now. It is getting to the point where it is full speed. They have what is called an acclimation period, where essentially every school in the country has to have practices in what is called shells. Shells are, they literally feel like little pillows. They're not like your traditional hard plastic shoulder pads. They're more like a pillow pad, something that frankly we didn't have when I played, or even when Urban Meyer was there his first few years. But they had them in the NFL. Something like when I got to the National Football League, I discovered what shells were, and they're actually pretty nifty. Good way just to protect your shoulders, even on a lower contact day. But they were in those the first couple of days. Now they're in shoulder pads, so now it's basically full go up front. The first couple of days, it's really hard on the O-line, D-line to be physical because there's a line between doing what you got to do, and there's also a line between hurting somebody when you're not in shoulder pads. I frankly hate it. But that's just part of the NCAA rules. It's really rules at every level of football. High school is acclimation period as well. But once you get the shoulder pads on, then it's there's no more taking 2 steps and kind of chilling and making it look good for the camera. Once you get the shoulder pads on, it is full go, it's full bore. I think it'll be absolutely critical these next few weeks at Ryan to get some physical work in between the fronts. I think that the offensive line is going to be spectacular this year. I've been higher on them than most because I study them more than anybody, and I also I just think that they're going to take a step. I think that there is a growth in confidence that comes from being a second-year starter at Ohio State. I know guys like Josh Simmons had started elsewhere, a much smaller division, San Diego State, smaller school, not smaller division, excuse me, smaller expectations, smaller everything. Nobody's watching San Diego State football. Coming here is a cold a cold shower basically. When you get here, you're just like it will wake you right up. It is something that it's a stark contrast, because if you have a bad play or a bad day at Ohio State, our fans do not let you live that down very easily. So it's going to be exciting to see what he can do, because he's the guy that I think is one of the most critical parts of the entire offense, and I think that he's got a ton of talent. He's the guy that I've been high on. I've watched his movement skills. Again, I think that people that don't know as much about football, or particularly line play, they just get obsessed with star rankings, and maybe he's only a 3-star, maybe he only came from San Diego State, but his movement skills are elite. I mean, the way that he can pass protect is as good as anywhere in the country at left tackle. I think that he'll take a big step. Again, an extra year in Mickey Marotti's weight room will change a guy's life, and I think that he's going to be one of those telltale stories where he's going to be a completely different player. At guard, Donnie Jackson, this is it. He's preseason All-American across the board. I think he's got another level he can get to with his talent and his physicality. I think that as his hands get better, he can be a much more dominant run blocker. But he is a very good pass blocker. Excuse me, because he's so athletic. He's a guy be a long-term guard in the NFL, could potentially play center in the NFL. I thought he potentially could play left tackle last year if Josh Simmons wasn't ready to go, or if they wanted to put maybe Donnie at left and Josh at right. But Josh Fryer proved that he's a very good pass blocking right tackle. I think he's gotten a lot better. I think he's leaner. And again, I talked to a lot of people inside the Woody Hayes, and a lot of people are at practice today. My phone is like a Christmas tree lighting up all day with people that all saw different things. And it's always interesting when you have a bunch of people watching a practice. A lot of people have different perspectives on things, who looked good, who looked great, who looked okay. And sometimes it's the same player. So you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. And again, that's something I've learned doing this is that there's sometimes where I think something looks good and maybe somebody else doesn't think it looks as good. But that's the beauty of sports. So I think the offensive line is going to take a massive step. The story of the day was Will Howard. Will Howard was very, very good today. Another very strong day. Had an 80-yard run today, which is terrifying if a guy like him can get loose. Now, again, that element, and again, people say, well, how could that happen versus our defense? So it's kind of like, when Trevor Lawrence went 80 yards when he played for Clemson in 2019, he broke off like an 80-yard touchdown run, and you think there's no way on a team that's got Jeff Okudah and Sean Wade and Damon Arnett and Jordan Fuller, there's no way that he's going to get loose like that, but he did, and he was off to the races. And so yeah, Will Howard, he's got I don't say he's got jets, but he's got enough speed to get it done. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be compelling for it to see live. When you look at what we can do on offense now that we are committed to running the quarterback. And mind you, we have 5 quarterbacks on scholarship, but I don't think we've ever had 5 on scholarship before. It's been a long time that we have that are this talented. And his ability to run is going to be something that's going to be very special to see. I'm going to get into see if you guys have any super chat questions. Again, if you guys are Scoop Ultra members, feel free to ask a question. I will treat it like a super chat. Toss it up on the I'll toss it up on the board. So go ahead as you guys are filtering in here, and I hope you guys are having a very nice Saturday night. So go ahead, start it off. Karis, I appreciate you, my man. I hope you and Beth are having a great night. I've heard Will is doing great. How are the other quarterbacks doing? That is a fantastic question, and it is truly beauty in the eye of the beholder. Devin Brown's going to look like probably the second best quarterback because he's got the most experience. He was a guy that took backup reps last year, wasn't a scout teamer, so I'd expect him to be good. I don't know if the coaches trust Devin Brown. And again, I'm off what I'm hearing. So, if Julian Saint overtakes him, it won't surprise me at all. I think Julian Saint is the franchise. I think he's the future. And again, I like Devin Brown. Go back and watch our show a year ago. We were team Devin Brown on Buckeye Scoop because I heard about how he could run. I heard about his upside. He was a year younger than Kyle McCord. Obviously, Kyle ended up being the starter. I did not think he was Ohio State caliber. And I think I was right about that because, again, he ended up at Syracuse after he hit the portal. So, again, if he would have ended up at USC with Lincoln Riley or ended up at, a big-time school, big-time program, then maybe I'd be eating my words. But when you end up at Syracuse, who lost their last game like 45-0, I don't think he was an Ohio State caliber quarterback. And I think that Will Howard's going to be a monstrous upgrade, especially due to his ability, his wheels, his ability to run. I think Julian Saint is Aaron Rodgers 2.0. I really do. I mean, again, I've talked to people that I really trust about him, and he is a computer now. I mean, he got in that room with Chip Kelly and with Ryan Day, and they quiz these guys hard, and they make them install the offense, and they make them go through progressions, and he's like a computer. He's like Rain Man. He gets it very quickly, and there's rare guys that are like that, and he's one of them. I think that he's got a lot of ability. I don't think he's the most physically dominating looking kid in the world, but neither was Aaron Rodgers. And that's who he reminds me of in terms of his intellect and his ability to throw the ball. And he's going to get bigger. Again, the Big Ten is a rough and tumble conference, but him with JJ and Innocent Tate next year could be terrifying. Then you get down, to Lincoln Keenholz and Aaron Noland, who I kind of grouped together. It's a big fall for Lincoln, man, because this is it's going to be interesting to see how they work the quarterback rotation on the travel squad. So the travel squad, again, I've talked about this on a couple of shows recently, where they travel 70 guys on to a road game and even to a home game. Not everybody gets to stay at the hotel. They don't travel 120 guys to the hotel. They travel 70. So you can't travel 5 quarterbacks. So somebody is going to have their feelings hurt. Somebody is going to get left behind. I can't imagine Ryan Day would be dumb enough to not travel Julian Sain to every game. I think that, when he's your projected franchise guy, he's a 5-star guy, he's the number 1 quarterback in the country. Like, you don't want to screw that up. You don't want to give that kid any doubt. They did that with Quinn Ewers. Again, that was a tremendous mistake from Ryan Day. It was stupid, immature, but he probably learned a lesson. He's like, if you're going to travel a guy, don't leave your 5-star superstar at home, especially when these guys get tampered with. These guys have options. These guys are only as faithful as their options. So it's like, if you leave this kid at home, man, you're gonna be getting called from Lincoln Riley and from every other major coach in the country. Hey, I heard Ohio State left you home. We'd never do that to you, and you'd worry about losing a kid to the portal. And again, I think Julian is the future of the program. So then you get down to Air and Lincoln. Generally, you travel 3 quarterbacks. Generally. Maybe you travel a 4th and bring Air to a game or bring Lincoln to a game or whatever. But, Lincoln traveled last year, so it'll be interesting to see if he doesn't travel. But I think that some of these guys are still here just because they didn't really have great options to go elsewhere. Like, I don't think Lincoln had great options, and I don't think Devin had great options. So, if our starter who started every game ended up at Syracuse, I don't know where it leaves the guys that couldn't beat him out. So I think that, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle Air. Because there's always that peculiar instance when you have 2 quarterbacks that are in the same class, as Aaron and Julian are both freshmen this year, and one becomes the guy that travels and one is the guy that has to stay home in the dorms. And that is it can be some dark times now when those kids get left home in the dorms with, especially in the portal era. That is something you really have to manage. So it'll be fascinating to see how that goes. Again, Karis and Beth, thank you so much. Awesome question. If you guys are Scoop Ultra members and you have questions, please put them in the chat. I'm kind of scrolling through right now to find them. And I just appreciate you guys so much for all that you guys do. Googs, what's up, my man? Again, this is a little bit of a recap. We had this on Buckeye Scoop. We were literally doing like up to the minute updates during practice, and Howard had a quarterback run on a power read sweep, which is one of the greatest plays ever. Took it 80 yards to the house. Caleb Dowds had a pick. Sonny Styles is going to end up being the starting will. Watch. Here's the thing. I know that it's a competition between Sonny and CJ. And CJ is technically older physically. But Sonny played last year. I mean, Sonny played a lot last year. So, he's the guy. CJ didn't really see the field outside of special teams and backup type roles. So, I think that Sonny has got a big future ahead, and I don't think you mess around. I think you just make him the starting will and let him get as many reps as he can with Cody Simon, just because he's a dominating force, and I think he'll benefit being closer to the line of scrimmage. He'll benefit being a blitzer. And I think that he needs to develop chemistry with not just Cody Simon, but chemistry with Tyreek and Ty Hamilton and the guys up in front of him, because, you have to understand, like, a defensive line, when you have guys like Ty Hamilton and Tyreek, those guys kind of block for the linebackers. That's an aspect that most people don't talk about, is that, those guys up front have to occupy centers and guards to keep them off the linebackers. So Sonny has to get used to that. He's not used to that after playing safety for most of his career, where you're 15, 20 yards off the ball. Like, when you're a linebacker, you're 4 or 5 yards off the ball, and it's, the guys are climbing up to block you quickly on double teams. So it's something that he has to get used to. He has to continue to get a feel for, his drops and playing the passing game and coverages, which, again, playing safety, it's a lot easier when you come down to linebacker, because you're not dealing with the fastest guys on the field, like your X receivers and your Z receivers. So I think Sonny's going to be the starting will. I've got really good intel on that. So I'm just going to call that now. Sonny will end up being the starter. I think Carson Hinsman he's the odds-on favorite to be the starting right guard. He is battling sickness right now. Terrible time to get sick, but it's part of life. But I think he's got to keep shaking it off. And he was out there grinding a little bit today. And, it's just part of life. Again, it's always easy to make big, bold proclamations about who's going to start. But the absolute wild card in all of that is injuries. These guys, there will be guys that will get hurt. Not all of them will be like season-ending deals like TC Caffey. There will be some guys that get, pulled hamstrings, sprained ankles, shoulders, whatever, little menial things. But those little menial things are tough. I mean, those things are, when you're trying to win a spot or you're trying to win a spot on the travel team, you can't really be missing a lot of time. Now, if you're a stone cold guy, if you're Jack Sawyer or JT, then it doesn't really matter. You're going to be traveling no matter what. But if you're one of these guys that's trying to crack the rotation or work your way up the ranks, then you really have to, you can't afford to miss time. Again, from personal experience in 2004, when I was a redshirt freshman, I was trying to win the right tackle job. I got hurt. And so, when you're standing there watching practice and guys are getting better that are at your position that you're competing for, like they're not, when you have no tape and you have no real clout, you're not going to win that job. So that'll be something that'll be interesting to see who can stay the healthiest, because that's something no one ever talks about is you have to stay healthy as well. Here we go. John A., what is up, brother? Thank you for the super chat. Again, thank you for the 10. Tony Alford, once again, proving that he's a buffoon. Took the quick money at Michigan when he could have named his job after this year. He better have kept his Columbus connections for the future. Or his Colorado State connections for the future. Yeah, Tony, he got a 3-year deal up there, but I think they're about to get smoked. I think they're about to get the hammer in a pretty serious way. So I don't think that that's going to be optimal. It's going to be hard. Again, we saw what Kentucky just got. Kentucky just got a bowl ban for guys like having no-show jobs, which is, that's bad, but that's not anywhere near as bad as cheating in the games. Like, that's why I think people that think that the NCAA isn't going to smoke these guys are crazy. Because I'm like, look at these punishments they're handing out. Look at Arizona State's punishments. Look at the show causes. Lack of institutional control. Look at what Kentucky got a bowl ban for stupid no-show jobs, and that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Again, I appreciate you guys, and I would love your feedback on the Trussell Troy Smith show. Go and throw that in the comments, and the super chats as well. Again, I appreciate all that you guys that tuned in and enjoyed it. And Coach Tress is the best. And again, I want to apologize to anybody that left a super chat. I have all the super chats. I recorded them all. So when we do the next show with those two, I will make sure to get those answered for you. But I apologize. The show ran 90 minutes, flew by. That's a long time for Tress to do a podcast. So I apologize for that. But it was good material. And there were just a ton of super chats at the end, and I couldn't get through all of them. So I just want to say that I really apologize for that. Buck Vader, 1977. Thank you for being an Ultra member. And thank you for the Ultra question tonight. Kirk, I love the show and watch every day. I've noticed Coach Day is avoiding recruits that could be divas. I think this is smart. Do you agree? This is my first question as an Ultra member. Well, I appreciate that. And in terms of the OH, I'll say IO. I appreciate you so much. And again, I appreciate all of our Ultra members. I love doing these Ultra chats just because, this is going to be one of the perks that we're going to do going forward. Probably do it once a week, every 2 weeks or so, and just have a big blowout of all the questions you guys need. And you guys can really get your money's worth. I try to get through everybody at least once, and then if we have more time, we can do 2 or 3 questions, like whatever you guys got for me. I think that you just... The amount of diva-ness that you'll put up with is in direct correlation to how good they are. The problem is like we've been blessed with guys like, Marvin Harrison. He's not really a diva. He's just a great kid. JJ Smith is a great kid. Like they're not, we haven't really had many guys that are just like true divas. And I guess that's part of the culture. But I also think, part of it's Mickey Marotti. He kind of, they beat that out of those kids early. Because some of these kids, they show up, man, and they think that they're something. Then they go into Mickey's weight room and he beats the tar out of them, and not literally, but they get that get that diva-ness out of them real quick because you don't want that monster to creep up and be a major issue for the program and for the kids. So I think Ryan, I don't want to say he won't take a diva. I think it's more that some of these kids have been dramatic. Like Dylan Rail is a good example of a diva, a guy that was, he was here, then he was at Georgia, then he's at, Nebraska, and might hit the portal. I mean, who knows? So it's like there's a little bit of that when you deal with some of these kids, especially like the quarterback position. But again, if he's a superstar and he's a bit of a diva, then it's a lot easier to deal with him than if he's just an average player and he's a diva. So I just think that it's just kind of the mentality. They want to be a chain gang mentality, a lunch pail mentality, more so than a flashy mentality. I think they're trying to get away from. I think they get a little too soft, a little too flashy. They're trying to get back to being a little more gritty, and gritty doesn't necessarily equate to diva. So I think that's part of their recruiting. And plus, like, we're in Ohio. We're not in LA. We're not in Miami. We're not in one of the flashier towns. So you got to be a little gritty when you come up here. So I don't think that Ryan is completely passing on it. But again, if a guy is a superstar, then I think you can talk. But again, I appreciate that. That is a great question. I appreciate you, my friend. You guys keep tossing those questions in there. Best looking at linebacker, that is a great question. If you meant physically on the hoof, obviously it's Sonny. There's nobody. I mean, Sonny might be the best looking player in pads that we've ever had. He's a freak of nature. But Cody Simon's right there. So is CJ. I mean, we got some good looking, speedy, tough, fast, athletic guys playing linebacker this year. I think we're much more athletic than we were last year. And that's not a slight on Tommy and Steele. I love Tommy and Steele. Great kids. Very, very good Buckeyes. But I don't think that they can run like these guys. And again, and they'd probably be the first ones to say it. So I think that when you look at the guys that we have in terms of athleticism, like Sonny's the best looking linebacker we've maybe ever had. That doesn't mean he's the best linebacker we've had. It just means he's the best looking. Like, you put him in pads and you're just like, good God. He's a big kid, 235, 6'4". There are not many linebackers running around that are 6'4", 235 that can run like a 4.40. So Sonny is one of one. Cody Simon can fly, though. I think Cody is going to be all Big Ten this year. I think he's got that kind of ability. I think he's got to stack up tackles. And again, this is all contingent on him being healthy, because that's been his biggest crutch, is that he's had bad shoulders. He's gotten back from that, but he's a beast now. Tough as nails, military parents. So he's got a little bit of that to him, where he's really disciplined and he's hard on the kids, and he's a big leader, and he's Captain Buckeye and the whole nine. So I love the kid. I think he's gonna have a huge year. I've been a Cody Simon fan for like 4 years now. And he's had multiple shoulder surgeries. He's been all dinged up, but he's got to probably should have started last year. But it's hard when you've got two guys that are seniors and they're great kids and great players and great leaders. It's hard to bench one of those guys, but he's productive. He's really good, and I think he's going to be a starter and he's going to be a captain. I think he's going to be an absolute kamikaze. He's going to be fantastic. So I'd say Sonny and Cody Simon. So again, I appreciate you guys. As always, this is I love doing these ultra chats because you guys always bring fantastic questions. So go ahead and toss those in there. I see that the Kimbo is in the building. What is up, honey? How are you? All right, Barb Barrett, happy 8 months of membership. I hope you're having a great Saturday. Thank you, my friend, for being on here always. I haven't heard you mention more in relation to a show cause. I can't imagine him skating. He had to know who would coach. More with no pay, a new hire. Love you guys in the show. OHIO. That's obviously I've said that since the beginning. I'm like, he knew. Like, the coordinators knew, the head coach knew. I don't know how everybody can know, and then Sharon Moore somehow doesn't know. Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. And I get why I stayed at Michigan. He has a huge new contract. He's a head coach at Michigan. Big bump, lifetime opportunity. But he's taken under like the worst circumstances ever, because you can't tell me the University of Michigan couldn't have done better than Sharon Moore. Like, well, let's just cut to the chase. And he's the guy. He was an O-line coach for like 4 years, and the O-line's been really good. But I think a lot of that is because of Jim Harbaugh, and I think a lot of it's because of the strength coach. So we'll see how good they are now. And Michigan is still a top 10 job in the country easily. And they had no search. It was like, let's promote Sherrone Moore and away we go. But I don't think it was a very attractive job just because of this thunder cloud that's looming over it. So, I think everything's on the table with Sherrone Moore in terms of show cause and what did he know, because I think that's it's kind of where we're at. So it'll be very interesting over these next few months. And again, the NCAA doesn't move very quickly. So I know people are glued to this timeline and they think, oh, just because nothing's happened means that nothing's going to happen. But I think that's the dumbest mistake you could ever have, because I'm just telling you, man, when you are affecting the outcome and the livelihoods of people and the outcome of these games and you're cheating doing it, and there's, this is the thing. This wasn't some sophisticated deep throat CIA, operate. This was about as poorly done with as much evidence as you could ever do. So, or this guy got caught on HD 4K TV, giving the signals to the coordinator, multiple angles, multiple games. The ticket master or whatever, SeatGeek or whatever he was buying the tickets on. There's all these credit card transactions. There's some donors paying for the stuff. It is fascinating. It's absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Moore. I can't project obviously he's not going to have no pay. I can see him being suspended. But again, there's just so many things on the table. But yeah, it'll be interesting, Barb. I appreciate that. And again, thank you for the 14. John Mariotti, my boy. I appreciate you, Sean. Yeah, John is a good dude, man. Known him for a long time. Appreciate you, John. He's on here every night. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Kim Hurst, I'm very glad that football is here as well. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. Super, 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 super excited about football. It is the absolute best time of the year for me. And I absolutely just love it. I love it so much. Let's see what else you guys got. All right, here we go. SC Buckeye, I think you've been an Ultra member, and thank you for the Ultra chat. Again, I appreciate you. Again, if you are on the show, if you joined late, it is a Scoop Ultra night. So if you are a Scoop Ultra member, you can ask questions just like it's a super chat. I'll toss it up on the screen and answer away. So again, I appreciate you guys. 2025 team is on the field now. How does our future look for next year? Well, I think it's going to be fantastic just because you look at our skill guys. I mean, even with the losses of Emeka and Trey Henderson, Quinshon Judkins will surely go pro. You still, when you break the huddle, are going to have Julian Sane, JJ Smith, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate. I mean, you're going to have 3 first-rounders at receiver. You're going to have a first-rounder at quarterback. You're going to have James Peoples, who's fantastic. The one that'll be an interesting question mark is Josh Simmons. Does Josh Simmons go to the league? If he goes to the league, we'll go heavy in the portal, or we could start David Sanders Jr. as a freshman. And then we'll have a bunch of, pretty good guys along. Josh Fryer is going to be gone. Obviously, Donnie Jackson's going to be gone. But, you get Tigra, you get Carson Hinzman. You're going to have a pretty solid offensive line. I'm sure that they'll go out in the portal to try to find a guy or two that can compete. Our offense will be very, very good. Defensively, it'll be a rebuild. We're going to have a lot of guys that are going to be gone. I mean, Tyleek and Hamilton and our 2 ends. I mean, it's going to be a big rebuild. But you'll still have Sonny Sell, still have C.J. Hicks. It'd be interesting to see if Davison Igbinosun jumps. Caleb Downs will be the best player in the country returning, so you'll have him anchoring your back end. Malik Hartford will be good. Jermaine Matthews Jr. will start at corner. Our secondary will still be ridiculously good. I think our linebackers, you'll have C.J. Hicks and you'll have Sonny Salz as your 2 starting linebackers in all likelihood. And then you've got a lot of guys up front that can step up. Hero Canoe, Caden McDonald inside. Outside, you've got Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry. Does Edric Houston take a starting spot? Because he's been fantastic in the first 3 days of camp. So, we're still going to be scary guys. Really talented. And then there's the portal. Like a year ago at this time, there's a human on this earth that was saying that we're going to have Quinshon Judkins on our team next year. So the portal is like free agency in the NFL. You just don't know where guys are going to end up. And it is, I love it. It is awesome. We added the best running back in the entire country to our backfield this year and adding Quinshon Judkins. So, I'll take that. And we'll have a lot of cap space. So we'll be ready to go and get this team to be as strong as humanly possible. So I'm very excited about that, SC Buckeye. Thank you again for the question. Garrus and Beth, I hope you guys are doing good. I'm glad that you guys loved the Troy Smith show. That was absolutely awesome. Per usual, again, I love Troy and I love Tress, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, any of my Ultra members, keep cranking along and give me some more. I love this. SC Buckeyes, massive Buckeyes. Hello to my Scoop family. I love that. Yeah, the Scoop families are going to have a super chat in the door. D Sunny, what is up, brother? How are you? I hope you're having a great Saturday. Thank you for the 5, my friend. When a player like Julian is identified as a future star in the program, how does he get treated differently than just a regular scholarship player? Well, I mean, it doesn't take long to figure out when guy's special. Again, it was like with JJ Smith. Like JJ Smith is, he is terrifying. He's a guy that is probably the best receiver in the country already, and he's never even played in a game. So that's something we've never seen before. He'll be a Maurice Claret type guy where after one game you'll know that he's the guy, and after he gets his first touchdown against Akron, people will say, "Yeah, this guy's for real. This guy's the truth." So, like what Julian's saying, I mean, they identified early, and there's a calculated risk that went on when it was January and Aaron Nolan showed up and he had some miscues and some hiccups like young kids do, and Nick Saban retired, Julian Sain hit the portal, and it was one of those deals where it was, this guy's the best quarterback in the country. And again, Ryan Day, for whatever faults people say of him, he is not afraid. He is not afraid to shake up a room. He's not afraid to hurt people's feelings. And again, if Air would have been on point when he showed up, then they probably don't go after Julian. But Air was kind of all over the place. And again, that happens sometimes. But, it was bad timing for Air, because when the best quarterback in the country becomes available and all of a sudden he wants to be a Buckeye, then here he is. And again, there's that little small window where Bill O'Brien was here and he had like a little bit to do with it. But, to get that kid here was a shrewd move by Ryan Day. And I think that kid is going to be incredible in this offense. He is built for this offense. He is built to distribute the ball and read coverages and get rid of the ball quick. And I think he's going to be magnificent at it. So yeah, that's part of the deal when you're dealing with these young kids, man. And Julian saying, again, in this portal, you just never know who's coming from where. If you're Aaron Nolan and you're here and you're like, hey, I'm here, and if you mess up, man, I mean, these coaches, this is their livelihoods. And if they got money to go after a kid like Julian's saying, then let's go after him. And it's so funny, like people were jumping off the bridge when we lost Dylan Raiola, who was at the time the number one player in the country, which looks silly now that JJ Smith was in that class, who was the true number one player in the country. But we lose Dylan and we end up with a guy who's probably better in Julian Sain. So again, I think that when guys are superstars, it's just like anything. Like if you are a high achiever and a superstar, then all of a sudden you're going to get a different level of treatment than the regular players do, just because you've earned it. You get a little bit more clout, and the coaches have got to treat you better, because usually you're doing stuff the right way. Like a guy like JJ Smith, he's not just getting this wonderful treatment because he's JJ Smith and he's some 5-star. He's a dog. He works like crazy. He's a beast in the weight room, does everything the right way, keeps his head down, and just grinds. And he gets on the field, man, he is terrifying. So, yeah, you treat him differently. That's just life. It's just like in any other successful organization. If someone is a high achiever and a big producer, then guess what? They're going to get treated a little bit different than guys that aren't. So, I love it, and I think that Julian Sain is going to be an absolute monster here. And there's a chance he's in the backup this year, because, again, at some point, it doesn't make sense to push it off. If a guy's that good, I think you just go with it, and just say, hey, let's just get him going. Because the one thing I don't think you can do with Julian Sain is have him go down running scout team all year. I think you do that a little bit, but I think that he really just needs to learn the offense, learn the receivers, and you start building for the future, and that's something that, and again, when you've got 2 or 3 quarterbacks usually the top two guys stay down and run the offense with the regular offense. And then the third, fourth, and fifth guy, they'll go down with the other guys with the scout team, and they'll run like Akron's offense versus the defense. It's a way to get the defense ready. And I think that there is some good to that. Like, I think it's better to, excuse me, I think it's better to go down and run some of that stuff as opposed to just standing and not getting as many reps. But I also think that you can develop some bad habits if you're running the other team and there's some stuff that's not that maybe not be the way teams do it. But Troy Smith had a great point when he was talking about he was on scout team with Santonio Holmes and some of those guys, and I played scout team with Troy and Santonio, and Santonio wasn't there very much because he got promoted in the middle of the 03 season. But there's a lot of times where you're ad-libbing and you're scrambling around and they kind of blow the play dead, but then you chuck it deep and you end up having a long touchdown. And he talked about 04, he used to do that with Gonzo on scout team, and it ended up happening in real life where he kind of created and the play went on a little long and Gonzo got free and he chucked it over Ernest Shazor's head in the horseshoe in 04 when he had that long, I mean, that had to have been like an 80-yard touchdown. So, you can develop some good chemistry with your young receivers on scout team. And plus, I think it's a good rite of passage for all of the young guys to play some scout team. I did it for a year, and I was going against Will Smith every day. He was first team All-American, captain, best defensive end in the country his senior year, and I was a freshman that really didn't know how to play tackle because I was converted from tight end. So that was exceptionally difficult, but made me way better. And God rest Will Smith's soul, man, because that made me so much better, and I loved it. I appreciate you, Karis. I hope you and Beth are having a great night. I'm glad that you love the show and you're still smiling. That was absolutely fantastic. And I put on a little bit longer version of the show. For some reason, the beginning of the show was cut out, so I apologize for that. Again, any of you guys that are Scoop Ultra members, go ahead and toss questions up, and I will answer them. But yeah, I like where the team's at so far. We've had our first 3 practices. Again, this team is as loaded as we've ever seen. I've talked to Tress a lot. He thinks it's the most talented team maybe ever. I mean, he's probably better looking than any team he ever had. And, he won a national title and coached at a couple championship games. But I'd be the first one to say that we probably weren't as good. I'm counting down the minutes too, Karis, for the hammer. I love the hammer emoji. That is very creative. Counting down the minutes until the hammer. Boy, will that be a fun podcast. Me and Nevada cannot wait for that one. It'll be absolutely fantastic. I love this. Back dot reset. Kirk and Buzz plus Buzzcut are back in track. I love that, Googs. I hope you're doing good. Barb, I'm glad that you enjoyed the Tressel and Troy Smith show. Watched it again, planning on watching another 1 or 2 times. I'll have them on again. And again, I apologize to this. I already said to the Scoop Ultra members or the Super Chat folks that did not get their deal done because I don't know. Kim asking questions. Hey everyone, appreciate y'all being on there. Keep asking those questions. Kim is the best. We are cranking along in this pregnancy, so love you, girly. You're doing a great job. D Sunny. Barb, baby is doing good. I'm gonna throw that. I'm pretend that's a Scoop Ultra question, but the baby is doing good, clicking along. So that's good. Here we go. Googs, my man, I appreciate you, my friend. I hope you're doing good. Kirk, Sunny Styles, CJ Hicks are operating on the first team defense at will. Linebackers comment on whether that rotation will reign in both 2024 and 2025. Talent overflowing. Hope all will play more. I think that Sunny will be the starter this year. I think CJ rotates in. It'll be interesting to see if CJ is the top backup if something would happen to Cody, who would come in at Mike. Would it be Gabe Powers, who's doing fantastic as well? Or do you put Sonny and CJ in? I think that next year it's going to be Sonny and CJ starting at those 2 spots, along with Gabe Powers as the top backup. But, I mean, Arvell had a nice play today. Arvell Reese, he's coming along big time. He had a nice pick today. So, linebackers are deep, man. And it's weird because, like I said, you only play 2. You used to play 3. You only play 2 now because of the nickel defense that we're in 90% of the time because teams are in spread offenses with 3 receivers. So, It'll be very, very interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I think I don't think the rotation will reign in 25. I think they'll rotate in 24. I think they'll both start in 25. I think that CJ Hicks will move to Mike linebacker. But that is just my thoughts. But again, I could be wrong. So let me let's see. I see Shane. All right. See Shane. Everybody loves my girl, Mrs. Barton, is the best. All right. Sean Schrock, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Kirk, with the trouble the tight ends have had with the blocking, would you put a backup tight end a backup tackle at tight end? Do you think Chip will run any unbalanced formations? That is a great question. I would bet everything I have that Chip Kelly is going to run unbalanced. He loves unbalanced. What unbalanced is, folks, is when you put another tight end. You put a tight end basically at your backside tackle, at like left tackle, and you line up your tackle as a tight end. So, you know what? I'm going to draw that because that'd probably be the easiest way to do it. And I got my little backdrop here. So that is actually a great question, Sean. Let me find my little scene adjuster. Here it is. All right. So, okay. So I got this little backdrop here. And basically what it is when you have, it would be like if you had, let me just draw this. Okay. So if that was your center and here is your guard, here is your left guard, you put your tight end here. Okay. And then you put your tackle here and you put your left tackle here, basically. So, you know, you have your quarterback here. So this looks like where a left tackle would be. So this would be like left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, and like what would be a normal tight end. Unbalanced is where you put the left tackle here and you put the tight end on the backside as like a left tackle. So yeah, it's an interesting look. It's something that is it's a way to gain an advantage on the wider side of the field. It's also a way to hide the tight end because if you put him back here, he's still eligible to go out for a pass. So I think Chip is going to run unbalanced. I think that we've done it a lot in the past. In the last few years, like Luke Montgomery last year was a guy that would be in like number like 98 or 96 or 48 or you know, they always have like some weird number that's given to kind of like the 6-man offensive lineman, and they put him in an eligible number so that he's harder to identify on the sideline. Like a lot of the times these guys, they'll warm up in their regular jersey and then they'll switch jerseys on the sidelines so that they can come in as a tight end to block the edge. So I think Chip will do a lot of that just because you know, we don't have a dominating run blocking tight end right now. So you put another offensive lineman out there and it can help. But you know, I think that that's something that Chip will love to do. He loves running unbalanced. I love unbalanced. We ran that a lot. If you go back and watch the 2007 national championship game where we played LSU, the very long Beanie Wells run at the very beginning of the game, we were actually in unbalanced. I was actually playing left tackle and Alex Boone was playing tight end. And we crushed the left side of the line. And Beanie ran for like 80 yards or whatever it was for that long touchdown. So, yeah, it was a good little wrinkle, and it's something that teams do. Like we do it a lot right now with Ohio State. We love doing the unbalanced stuff. We also like doing the 6 offensive linemen stuff where you put in Luke Montgomery or whoever in a different number as kind of a tight end edge guy. So yeah, I absolutely love it, and I think that Chip's going to do a lot of that. So. Again, if you guys have any questions in your Scoop Ultra member, go ahead and toss those in. The question, if you have a second question, go ahead and toss that in there as well as we crank along. Which blue chip player we have not been paying attention to do you think joins the 2024 class? Well, I don't know who else is left that we haven't been paying attention to because it seems like, you know, it's the David Sanders Jr. show. almost predominantly. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I think that David Sanders Jr. is going to be a coin flip between us and Tennessee. I like where we stand though. I mean, we've got a huge offer on the table for him. He loves Paris Johnson. His folks love Monica Johnson. I don't know what else we could do for that kid. So I love where we stand. And it's hard because I think that a lot of it is they're really focused on the portal. Because when you can go out and get a Caleb Downs and a Quinshon Judkins, like you instantly add 2 All-Americans to your team that's already filled with All-Americans. So I don't know who in the recruiting realm in terms of high school who could just come out of nowhere. I think that sometimes, and again, that might sound like a cop-out, but I'm just being honest. Like sometimes there's guys that are committed and coaches get fired, coaches take different jobs, coaches go to the NFL. A lot like Chip Kelly. When Chip Kelly left Oregon in 2012, it opened the door for Dontre Wilson to come to Ohio State. He was committed to Oregon, wanted to play in Chip's offense, wanted to be the Black Mamba, wanted to be DeAnthony Thomas, and when he when Chip Kelly left in the middle of the night to go to Philly, that opened it up for Dontre to come to Ohio State. So something like that could happen. Dontre was a 5-star blue chip kid. Everyone thought he was going to be Percy Harvin. Didn't have a great career here. Didn't do anything in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any movement from coaches that go on that we could potentially get. So I'll be really excited to see what we can get out of that. But I think that we're really going to be focusing on these portal guys. I love those googs. Hope all the Carton clan is buzzing. Well, First Lady Kim, yeah, Kimbo's the best. I appreciate her. The buzzing reference. Let me see. Yeah, but this camp's been physical. I like that. They're turning up a little bit. A fancy question for Kim and Kirk. When is the baby due? And is it a boy or girl? We're having a boy due in the next 3 weeks or so. I'll still try to podcast while she is in labor. Just kidding. We'll see how that goes. But it'll be a boy, and we are very, very, very excited. So it'll be absolutely fantastic. Pooh Beard, appreciate you, my man. Thank you again for being an ultra member. Bank was saying that Sanders is enamored with playing in the SEC, and that NIL is not going to be a deciding factor. Just the old-fashioned Cruton battle that is favoring Tennessee. Thoughts? I mean, Tennessee, I've been saying for a month, probably 2 months, that Tennessee is the biggest opponent. And there were times where people were talking about Georgia, and I said, Georgia's been eliminated for months. And Georgia doesn't know they're eliminated, but I know they're eliminated. So, I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, then that's something that we're gonna deal with. That's something that I don't know how you fight that when you're Justin Fry and Ryan Day if a kid just wants to play in the SEC unless we move to the SEC. But I like where we're at with David Sanders. We've got good intel on David Sanders, but again, it's kind of like when we lost Jordan Seaton last year, who's at Colorado. He's probably going to be terrible. So he's going to be a true freshman playing left tackle with Shador. He's probably going to get eaten alive. Same as the big fat kid from Bama last year who was terrible. He looks a lot better. He looks like he's lost like 50 pounds. But the big left tackle that went to Iowa for a few months and then he transferred back to Bama. He's back at Bama now. Like that kid, I don't know what you're supposed to do when he's Alabama and Iowa all the way. We lose him. I don't know how you beat down Justin Fry for that one, but kind of is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I think Sanders it's going to be on Justin, man. You got to figure out a way to get that kid. And I think that with what we've done in recruiting and the amount of presenting we've done to this kid, I think he's going to be, you can only do so much. Like Jordan Seaton wanted to go to Colorado and play for Coach Prime. What are we supposed to do about that? We're supposed to, I don't know. But again, our line will be fine regardless of who, what, where, and why. And I've said that for years because I think that we're going to be We're going to be absolutely fantastic rolling along. I got another super chat in. D Sunny, appreciate you, my friend. If you're a head coach going against a team that you might dominate, what would be your plan to get the starters out and young guys reps? Well, it's obviously when you're playing a team like Akron, like that is kind of in the mind of of your staff, and you should put it on them pretty good. Now you can't go to the game thinking like that because you still gotta go do it. You gotta go to points in the end zone. It's not like when you play Akron, you start with a 50-point lead. You gotta go get that 50-point lead to put these other guys in. So I think the plan is really, if I'm up 35, I'm emptying the bench. And now that's me, and I know Ryan wants to be up 50 or whatever, but if I'm up 35 against Akron, 35 nothing, I'm putting all the backups in. I'm not playing JJ Smith. I'm not playing Jack Sawyer. I'm not playing Trey and Quinshawn. And I'm letting all those young kids go out there and play. Because again, they're going to be playing against grossly inferior players. Akron might have one guy that can play at Ohio State usually. And the rest of the guys are guys that are grossly inferior. I've played against those teams before. And let those guys go run around in the horseshoe. Like, I mean, it's their first game. Their parents are going to be there. A lot of these freshmen, it's going to be their first game. So try to let everybody play. Everybody. I'm talking the walk-ons. Fourth quarter, get the guys at the very end of the bench, give them their one play. There's some guys that play at Ohio State that they play one play their entire career. I swear to God. I can name some of them that are walk-ons. So empty the bench. Get those young kids out there. See if any guy sparks. See if any guy pops in a game situation. Really, like, I think something that'd be great is get those young quarterbacks out there. Get Aaron Nolan out there. Get Lincoln Keenholz out there. Because, again, you have to realize, like, it's a whole new world now in the last few years since they went to the fact that all these kids can play in 4 games. So when you have guys that can play in 4 games and still redshirt, that is a huge, huge, huge difference than in the past where if you played 1 snap, your redshirt was burnt. So this is a game. Western Michigan's a game. I'm not saying you got to burn all of them, but most of those guys could get 2 games in right there, and then the playoffs don't count. So you get down into the stretch. I mean, those guys aren't going to be playing against Oregon. A lot of those guys that you could be getting into the games, they're not going to be playing in the road games because they're not even going to be there. They're not going to travel. And so I get to 35 and get the starters out of the game. Do not let one of those guys get hurt. Because I've been very accurate and I've been very hard on Ryan Day when he's stupid and he keeps the starters in because these guys, they're all about stat padding. So they want to gussy up the stats for the quarterbacks and for whoever. And again, that's great and that's cute. And we've had a bunch of really good players who've put up a lot of hollow numbers that don't mean anything because, you're doing them in the fourth quarter of a game where you're up by 49 points. But we like to do that. And again, and there's been times where guys have almost gotten hurt because we've been stupid. So I like getting those guys out. Again, I get if you want to keep them in a little bit longer for conditioning's sake because it's so they can be ready to go. But this is a really weird year because we play 2 bad teams to start the season, and then we have a bye week. So it's almost like you're going to have like 6 weeks of training camp because you're going to have your 3 weeks of camp here, 4 weeks of camp. We're 28 days out from the game, so you're 4 weeks out from the first game. And then you have 2 bad games, and then you have a bye week. So it's basically like you could almost have, I don't know, like 7 weeks of training camp to get ready for the stretch where you got to play Marshall and Michigan State, Iowa, and then Oregon. So you got a nice little ramp up. The schedule sets up great, actually, in my opinion. So I would get those guys out of there, and it's good. See, I love Kim. A lot of Michigan trolls, and many got timed out, and a few were banned for being rude. Go get them, girl. Screw those morons. Again, I don't mind banning bad people on this thing. So we want to keep it nice and high quality for you guys. So Kim's got the flamethrower out, and she's not scared to use it, which is good. Yeah, Buck Vader, I agree. I think Carnell Tate is going to be absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love him. He's a great kid. He went through an incredible tragedy when his mother passed away last year. It was gross. It was terrible. And there isn't a guy who's harder to root for, All right. All right. Next question for you guys. This is going to be this next week of camp is usually these guys moving to the hotel, and I'll talk a little bit about that because these guys they let them go home the first few nights, but Monday is hotel moving day, which is usually it's a lot nicer hotel than it used to be. They stay at that Hyatt that's down in Grandview Yard, and it's comfortable. The beds are nice, good setup. But man, it's like you got to get up at 5 a.m., get on that bus, go over to the Woody, man. That gets freaking old in a hurry, man. I tell you. I absolutely love I love camp, and these guys. What's up, man? This is a good one right here, my boy Pitt. I got to get him on the show. D Sonny, thank you for the 5. Can you talk a little bit about Antonio Pittman and what made him a good player for us low football IQ fans? Well, Pitt was a very, 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 very tough player. Very tough. Very he was a kid that was from Akron, probably under recruited, didn't have huge offers. It was like us and Pitt were his 2 finalists, and he's from Buckdale. Exceptional toughness, exceptional football intelligence, great pass protector, great bursts, but just physical and tough, nasty. One of the toughest players I ever played with, and just did everything really well. I wish that we would have had him in 2007, but running backs always want to leave early, so he took off and went to the league with Gonzo and with Troy and with Teddy. And then the next year, Beanie was the guy. Beanie was the horse, and Beanie got like 1,700 yards rushing for us in 2007 when we had a pretty big rebuild. But Antonio he was such a great player to be around, tough as nails, just a dog, pure dog, and was a great tailback on that team. Should have started in 2004, really, as a freshman. He was better than the guys we had, Mo Hall and Lydell Ross and a bunch of other guys. Like Pitt was much better than those guys. So he did everything the right way. He's a guy that really surprised me. He didn't have a better NFL career. And sometimes it's a victim of circumstance. Like he got drafted. I'll never forget. He got drafted to the Saints when they had Deuce McAllister, Reggie Bush, and him. And it just made absolutely no sense as to why you'd have all of those guys on the same roster, because Pitt wasn't a special teams guy. He was a running back. And and they took him, I think, in the 3rd round. They took him pretty high, and they caught it on a camp. And then he got picked up by the Rams. Trying to think where else he was. But he didn't have a very long career in the NFL, which kind of surprised me, because I thought he'd be a much, much longer-term guy just because of his talent. I thought he was very talented, very tough. But the NFL's, he had a few injuries, and in the NFL, man, you don't have time. There ain't got time for you to get hurt. So, but Antonio is one of my favorite teammates ever. One of the greatest Buckeyes, easily one of the most underrated Buckeyes of all time. What a fantastic, fantastic player he was. Scoop Ultra Chat is cranking along. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and toss those in there. All right. Let me see. Kirk, thanks, Googs. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for being an Ultra member, and thank you for an Ultra Chat tonight. Kirk, you think that the new NFL kickoff rule format has a ghost of a chance of intriguing cultural enough to incorporate it, or is it just too inane and stupid? Well, I think it'll be really interesting to see how this goes. I kind of like it because I think that it kind of turns into just like a running play. The kickoff is the most dangerously, it's the most dangerous, it's the most dangerous play in football, the kickoff, especially the old kickoff where they're running down, setting the wedge. I mean, that's where guys would really get hurt. They'd get, really shoulders and necks, and it was a terrible play. So they took it down to just a regular play now. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out. I think there's a chance that it could get adopted if it's successful in the NFL. And again, I like it because I think people can get creative, and it actually puts the kickoff back into the game as opposed to it just being a touchback every time. Pooper12, thanks for being an Ultra member. What should we expect from B. Moses and Funky Show? I think it's going to be fantastic. B. Moses and Funky are 2 of our contributors. They're starting a new show tomorrow. It'll be absolutely fantastic. It'll go on at 6, and we will come on at 7 right afterwards. So I think B. Moses is very talented. He's got a great following. He is officially a member of BuckeyeScoop.com now. So we're going to start taking care of him and Funky. I think they're going to do great work together. Again, we are cultivating some young talent, giving them a platform to do some really good things. So I'm excited about it. I think that you're going to really enjoy it. Funky is a big-time recruiting nerd. Loves it. He's very sourced up. He's really worked hard to get some big sources, and he's kind of one of our leaders on BuckeyeScoop.com for inside recruiting intel. So I'm really excited to see what these guys can do. Obviously, it'll be their first show, so I'm sure there will be a little bit of a time to get up to snuff the way that Nevada and I are, but I think they're going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to watch them tomorrow as I get ready for my show at 7. So on Sunday nights, you guys will have a double-decker of shows. It'll be like as good as it gets, 6, 7. I think it'll be absolutely perfect. So, all right. Let's see. Paul Moss, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 10, and thank you for being an Ultra member as well. Kirk in Nevada. Nevada is off tonight, but I will ask him when I talk to him after the show. Could you talk about some of the physical changes a few of the Buckeyes have gone through, i.e. Howard, JJ, and Fryer, and how important Coach Mick is to our program? Well, yeah, I'd love to talk about that because, Josh Fryer is lighter. He's lost some weight. He's thinner. These guys, as they see the clock winding down in their careers, a lot of them really start to take the diet seriously. So they really start to kind of dial it up and get, less fats, less alcohol, less whatever, just to get as lean as possible. Jack Story looks absolutely fantastic. He is leaner. He's quicker. I'm sure that he's in the best shape of his life at this point. His body fat has gone down. He looks incredible. And I think JT's lost some weight too. I mean, so those guys both look lean and quick, because they're trying to get double-digit sacks. That is their goal this year, each of them, outside of just playing fantastic defense. But I think Josh Simmons is the guy that changed his body. He got too light. He got down to about 265 during the summer, and now he's back up to 290. He's the guy, his metabolism is like an incinerator because he's so lean, so athletic. So again, he's the guy that they have to stay on about keeping his weight up, and that's something that in in camp, it's not as bad as it used to be. During 2 days, I mean, guys will lose a lot of weight, but now it's pretty much like, you do one practice a day and a lot of meetings and a lot of walkthroughs, so it's not nearly as hard. But Will Howard has leaned out. He is quicker, lost a little bit of baby fat, which is fantastic. And then there's some guys that, when these freshmen show up, a lot of them haven't trained seriously before, or if they've trained, they haven't trained like they trained with Mickey. Like Mickey is the best there's ever been at strength training at Ohio State, and he is a dominant force, and he gets these guys right. And we've got nutrition program, and we've got food in the building now. So it is it's a very intensive process to get these guys and their bodies right. And when I worked there in 12, man, we had our O-line lost, like 150 pounds of body fat, just across 15 guys or something. I mean, it was like they all lost like 10 to 15 pounds of fat. Because again, it's not always about losing weight; it's about losing fat. Because a guy could weigh 310, but lose 10 pounds of fat and gain 4 pounds of muscle, and that's a big positive. He's leaner. He doesn't have as big of a belly and more muscular, stronger arms, torso, legs, whatever. And they measure that. They've got a bunch of different ways that they measure that. Very, very high-tech stuff, body scans where they can see where these guys are coming from. So Mick is on that stuff. And again, it's only gotten better since I've been there because they've got all the recovery stuff. They've got the trainer. They've got the dietitian stuff is huge now. So yeah, it's there's some guys that really went through some transformation. Sonny Styles is bigger, much bigger now because he doesn't have to stay at safety and starve himself to death. So he can eat a little bit more and become a big muscular ox like he is now, as opposed to when he's at safety and he had to basically starve to stay small so he could be quick. So yeah, and again, like guys like Tyleek is all about staying lean, man. Because if Tyleek can lose some weight, stay lean, play harder, play longer, his draft stock will soar. And I think that when these guys become seniors, man, it's like, hey, there ain't no more time to play. Every time you want to go out and cheat on your diet or whatever, it's going to hurt your prospects. So I think that those guys all try to do the best they can to stick to it. So appreciate that, Paul. That's absolutely fantastic. And thank you guys for being on here. All right. Any other Scoop Ultra questions? Again, that was a fantastic one, Paul. Thank you for that super chat. Kim was killing the Michigan trolls. That's what she loves to do. Nobody kills the Michigan folks more than she does, so I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, we got rid of some trash on this chat, so again, most of these guys aren't slick, so I'm just the point now where we just put a bullet in their head and move on because it makes the show better. And when we get rid of some of the bad people on the show, nobody misses them. I promise you. We still get plenty of views. I'll take this one, Scott. As a fellow Stark Countyan, why don't more players get to OSU from the greatest football county in Ohio? I just think that we've gone more national. I don't know how many guys from Stark County are Ohio State level recently. I mean, we took Jaden Ballard, and Jaden's got to get going, man. His career is about over, and I mean, he's still. I don't think that the coaches trust him. I think that they're trying to figure out who's that fifth receiver behind the top. The top four locked in stone with Ennis Tate, Emeka, JJ, but number 5 is going to be real interesting, just because I think that is it Jaden? I mean, Jaden's run out of time. He's a guy that, like I said, they haven't trusted him, and they don't give him much of a run right now. So it's but in terms of Stark County, I don't know how many guys from Stark County have been Ohio State worthy in the last few years. So it's gonna be real interesting to see what guys pop and what guys don't. Well, again, they're gonna have a huge week of practice again this week. Our website has been absolutely killing it. BuckeyeScoop.com. We had live practice updates all day today. We'll have it again tomorrow. Again, Will Howard getting that 80-yard run was absolutely incredible. Huge day for the Bucks. The offense looked really crisp. They were flying around. G. Scott's coming on a little bit. That's good. Like, you need to get a guy. Tim Hinton is back coaching now that he is allowed to officially coach, despite being the high school relations director. He's out there coaching the tight ends a little bit now, which is good. Tim's been around for a long time. I think he'll be a big help. That tight end room needs a lot of help. Jelani Thurman still has a ways to go. He's the guy that, he's got to get rolling, and he's the guy that, I'll judge Keenan Bailey off of what Jelani Thurman does. Because Jelani's the most talented guy in that room, but can you get him to pay attention and become a great player? That'll be the question. Because anybody can go coach Jack Sawyer and Caleb Downs. Like, what can you do with a guy who's talented but not motivated, like Jelani Thurman? So that'll be very interesting to see what they can do with him in camp. Well, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys had a great Saturday night. I think I'm going to wrap this up and go spend some time with the Kimbo. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, I get to the screen. Appreciate you guys. Another Scoop Ultra chat. Thank you guys for being a part of everything that we do. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys so very much for all that you do. Another great show tonight. And again, thank you for being a part of the Scoop family. Again, shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. I hope you guys have a great Saturday night. Again, it's always a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. It's fun watching you guys interact. You guys are absolutely awesome. And thank you for all you guys do for being a part of the Scoop family. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you to the Scoop family. Our next meetup will be announced very soon. I'm in the process of planning it with the people of Buffalo Wild Wings. So I'll keep you guys tuned up for that. It'll be absolutely epic. Absolutely appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.